Hello and welcome. Today's class is going to be a Vinyasa level 1, 1, 2. We are going to be focusing on the hamstrings for today. You will need some props, 2 blocks for sure, at least 1 blanket. If you have a bolster, grab that. I know you're thinking probably sweet things, but not necessarily. It's just going to make this a little more approachable. If you do not have a bolster, grab a couple of pillows. Something that you can use for some support. So sturdier pillows if you have them. If you don't have those and you need to go grab them, pause this. I will wait. And now we're ready. To begin class, start lying down on your back, finding any comfortable position. If you do not like having your legs extended in front of you, for some people this is not comfortable for your back. If this does not work, keep those knees bent, feet flat on the floor, walk them out a little wider than hip bone distance and let the knees fall towards each other, finding a position that makes your back happy. Take a big deep breath in through your nose. Open mouth, exhale, sighing it out. Take another full breath in through the nose. Exhale, release. And again, huge breath, feeling everything lift and expand. On this exhale, starting to let go of anything and everything happening outside of this moment. Begin to relax your forehead. Separate your teeth. Let the tongue fall to the bottom of the mouth. A slight gap between your lips, and notice how that movement, that separation, the dropping of the tongue starts to relax your cheeks, your jaw, perhaps even down into your neck. Neck is long. Shoulders should be heavy and sinking toward the mat. If you feel like they're lifting away from the mat or shrugged up by your ears, lift your chest, squeeze the shoulder blades together, tucking them beneath you, and then relax down onto them, feeling a gentle broadening across the chest and shoulders. Hips and low back are heavy. Legs are comfortable, whatever position they're in. You're not working to hold them up or hold them in any one position, just allowing everything to release. Begin to turn inward. Noticing where your mind is today. Take a moment and scan your body. How do you feel? That question applies to far more than just the physical. We tend to take stock of things that are achy, any injuries, pain, but we don't always stop and just notice how we're feeling overall. Where's your mind? How's your energy level? How are the emotions? Find that connection. Really knowing how you're doing today on all levels. If you've gotten down here today and decided that this is exactly what you need, this moment right here, please stay. This is an honest invitation to stay just as you are. If you're ready for a little more movement, Start to bend into those knees, taking the feet flat on the floor if they're not already there. Walk those feet out until they are mat distance apart. Take the arms out wide at shoulder height. Moving with your breath, drop those knees side to side. Finding some gentle movement, releasing the low back, starting to stretch into the hips and hip flexors. One more time to each side. Inhale, bring those knees back to center. Walk the feet in till they're hip bone distance apart. Pull your knees into your chest, giving them a little squeeze. Right knee pulls in. Your left leg extends straight to the sky and slowly lowers all the way down toward the mat. Right hand to right knee opens that knee to the side. Holding here, feeling a gentle stretch to the inner thigh, opening the hip. One more breath here. And inhale back to center, switching hands. Right arm comes out at shoulder height as the knee comes across the body, finding a full twist. Shoulders are pressing open against the mat. Feeling that spine lengthen with every inhale, sinking into the twist on the exhale. And inhale back to center. Draw that right knee in a little closer, opening it towards your armpit. Reach the foot to the ceiling. Right arm comes inside the knee and to the outside of the foot, and then pull that knee down toward the floor, almost as if your shin is sprouting directly out of the floor like a tree. Half happy baby, finding a little compression into your hip socket. Release that leg, drawing both knees in, giving them a squeeze. And switching sides. Left knee stays in, right leg extends to the ceiling. Slow and controlled, we lower that foot down to the floor. Belly draws in, releasing that foot gently. Squeeze that right knee in. That's your left knee. Sorry, squeeze your left knee in. Left hand to left knee as you open that hip to the side. Using your arm for weight, just adding a little gentle weight. We're not pushing, you're just adding the weight. Allowing gravity to gently press that leg open. On your next inhale, bring that knee back to center, switching hands. Left arm comes out at shoulder height as we take the knee across the body, finding your twist on this side. Shoulders are heavy and releasing towards the mat, lengthening through the spine and twisting deeper on the exhale. Inhale, coming back to center. Draw that knee into your chest, squeezing it nice and tight, and then pull it over toward that left armpit. Reach the foot to the ceiling. Arm comes inside, hand to the outside of the foot as you draw it down. Knee is reaching toward the armpit, toward the floor. Shin is sprouting like a tree. Your right foot is active down here too, pressing through the ball of the foot. And slow and controlled, release that foot. Pull both knees in, giving them a little squeeze. Rolling side to side, tucking your hands underneath your booty. Reach the feet toward the ceiling, legs are straight. Pausing here, feeling a slight hamstring stretch. Maybe even drawing those feet back gently. There's a micro bend in your knees. You're not locking them out. You want to keep those legs active and engaged, stretching gently into the hamstrings. Start to draw that belly button in, reaching both feet toward the ceiling as you slowly, slowly, slowly lower the right leg all the way down toward the floor until you feel like it's going to just drop. So you want to keep everything engaged, finding your stretch. This is your position. Your back is not lifting, nothing's arching, we're not just plunking. Everything is working here. And then bring that right leg back up, slow and controlled. Inhale, lowering the left leg. Same thing, finding that controlled place where you can keep the back flat against the mat. And on your inhale, exhale, bringing that leg back up. Inhale, lowering the right leg, moving with your breath. Exhale, drawing the leg back to the sky, feet are active. Inhale, lowering the left leg. Exhale, drawing it back to the sky. Inhale, lower that right leg and hold when you get there. On your next breath, we are going to switch legs. So as the right leg comes up, the left leg will go down. Moving like scissors, but it's still slow and controlled, moving with that breath. And switch. 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 I'm doing this too, guys. You should feel this in your lower abdominals. And switch. 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 Next time your left leg is down, simply bring it back up to meet the right. Release those hands, bend into your knees, draw the knees into the chest, giving them a squeeze. Either rolling onto your side or rocking directly up, make your way up to a seated position. Finding any comfortable seat, start to roll out those shoulders. And then reverse, taking it the other direction. Coming back to stillness, inhale, sweep the arms up and overhead, looking up at those hands. Exhale, hands to heart center, chin to chest. Inhale, hands back to the sky. Exhale, lowering your right hand, left arm reaches up and over as you extend through the left side body, walking that right hand out as far as is comfortable, keeping that left hip planted firmly against the mat. So you want your sit bone to be pushing into the floor. Perhaps turn and look up underneath the left arm. Finding length through the entire left side. And inhale, both arms come back up overhead. Exhale, switching sides, left hand comes down, right arm reaches up and over, pushing that right sit bone against the mat, lengthening through the side body. And inhale, bringing both hands back up to the sky. Exhale, lowering them down beside you. Sit up nice and tall, noticing which leg is in front. There's no right or wrong, just make note. Get as tall as you possibly can, hinging from the hips, keeping your back nice and flat. Walk those hands forward as you fold over your legs, stretching through the spine, getting long, and feeling that stretch in the glute, the booty of whichever leg is in front. On your next inhale, walking those hands back, bringing your body up. Sitting up nice and tall, lean back. Switch the cross of the legs. Sitting up tall again, spine is long, hinging from those hips, walking the hands forward. Notice that that stretch moved to the other leg. Walking the fingertips forward. So this is not about bringing your forehead to the floor. Instead, you want to get tall. Feel that spine lengthening, and then you walk the hands out as you fold over the legs, bringing the belly down, but down as a result of that forward movement. And on your next inhale, pressing into those palms, bringing the body upright, coming back to that nice tall seat, lifting your knees back together, extend the legs out in front of you. Finding Dandasana, our staff pose. Palms are right beside the hips, almost pushing the floor away. We're getting as tall as we possibly can. Spine is long. And I never do forward folds. I always say don't do them first thing because your body's still cold. So this is not going to be your deepest, biggest, baddest fold ever. We're just kind of playing with the hamstrings to see where they are today. Finding that length, and then walk your hands forward. Folding over the legs, gently starting to stretch into those hamstrings and breathe. Make sure there is no pain or pinching in your low back. It's early. And we're not going to hold this for very long. Just a breath here. And then walk those hands back, bringing the body upright, finding a gentle twist. Right hand to the left leg, left hand pushing into the floor behind you. Releasing that fold, releasing your spine. And come back to center, switching sides. Left hand to the right leg, right hand pushes into the floor. You find the height first, get as tall as you can, and then use the hands for leverage as you twist a little deeper. Notice your feet. You might find that one foot is shorter than the other, one leg looks shorter. What's actually happened is your hip has drawn back. That's okay. Let that happen. Do not try to force that even hip structure here. Allow the twist. And release that back to center, swinging those legs around. Coming onto hands and knees. We're not going to be here very long. If your mat is thinner or your knees are cranky, go ahead and grab a blanket for under the knees. Moving through one cat-cow, lower the belly, lift the chin and chest, lengthening through the front of the body. Exhale, tucking the tailbone, pulling the belly button in as you push the floor away, finding that movement. One more time, let's drop that belly, lift the chin and chest. Focusing on moving the spine, articulating every vertebrae. Tuck the tailbone, rounding the back, pushing the floor away. Coming back to neutral. Walk those hands forward 2 or 3 inches till the arms are at an angle. Tuck your toes, lift your hips, press the chest back. Finding your downward facing dog. Heels are releasing toward the floor. Belly is pulled in, chest presses back, and now pedal out those feet. Finding any movement that feels good here, perhaps coming up onto the tippy toes, bend those knees, push the chest back even more, and then slowly straighten those legs, releasing the heels. On your next inhale, rising up onto the toes, bend the knees, look between your hands, and exhale, step or hop to the front of the mat. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, folding in. Bend those knees deeply. Sweep those arms up and overhead, rising up to standing. Exhale, releasing your hands down beside you, and take a minute and adjust the clothes because mine are doing all kinds of things here. Okay. Finding your mountain pose. Everything is active and engaged. Core is pulled in. I like my feet hip bone distance apart. If you prefer to have the toes touching, that works too. Whatever's comfortable for you. This causes an internal rotation on my body, so I like my hip distance, but there's no right or wrong. Just find your neutral. Find all the strength and activation. Inhale. Sweep those arms up and overhead. Exhale, hinge from the hips and forward fold. Inhale, half lift, back is flat. Exhale, folding in, belly to thighs. Bend those knees deeply. Sweep those arms up and overhead, rising up to standing. Exhale, releasing your hands down beside you, returning to your Tadasana. On your next inhale, sweep those arms up and overhead. Exhale, hinge from the hips and forward fold. Inhale, half lift. Back is flat. Hands are on something. Shins, knees, thighs. Just make sure your back is flat. Exhale, folding in, planting those hands, stepping back to plank for this first one. Pausing here, pushing the floor away, finding that solid straight line. Head is in line with the body. Staying on the balls of your feet. Inhale, lower the hips, lift the chest, upward facing dog. Exhale, hips are high, downward facing dog. Taking a few breaths here, pedaling out those feet, finding any movement that feels good. Check in with your hands. Make sure your fingers are comfortably spread. They're digging every knuckle into the mat, almost as if you're trying to tent the hands without letting those palms actually lift. You just want those hands active and engaged and the chest pressing back. So down dog is a resting pose, but don't lock out. Don't just lock the joints and hold here. Keep the muscles working. On your next inhale, rising up onto the tippy toes, bend the knees, look between your hands, and exhale, step or hop to the front of the mat. Inhale, half lift, back is flat. Exhale, folding in. Bend those knees, sweep those arms up and overhead, rising up to standing. Exhale, releasing your hands down beside you. Inhale, sweep the arms up and overhead. Exhale, hinge from the hips and forward fold. Inhale, half lift, back is flat. Exhale, planting those hands. Either step to plank, or if it's in your practice, you can jump, landing in chaturanga. Flipping onto the tops of your feet, lower the hips and lift the chest. Exhale, hips are high, downward facing dog. Taking a few breaths here. Take the time. Find your alignment, your down dog. Everything is active and strong. Belly is drawn in. Two more breaths here. Head should be loose. Maybe shake it out. Let that feel good. On your next inhale, rising up onto the toes, bend the knees, look between your hands and exhale, step or hop to the front of the mat. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, folding in. Bend those knees deeply, sweep those arms up and overhead, rising up to standing once again. And exhale, release those hands down beside you. This is a Vinyasa class, so we are going to do probably 2 more sun salutes. I promise there's more coming afterwards. Finding your mountain pose. Inhale, sweep those arms up and overhead. Exhale, hinge from the hips and forward fold. Move with your breath. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, planting those hands, stepping to plank or jumping to chaturanga. Inhale, rising to up dog.
Exhale, hips high, downward facing dog. 5 breaths is traditionally held here for Sun Salute. You are welcome to stay here. If you've decided that this is not a resting pose and you don't want to hold this, you can come down to your child's pose, press back at any point in time. This is your class. This is a video. You can stop and walk away, but rather than giving up right away, you can also just take a break. Just because you pause does not mean that you have to stop moving. Take a break, and when you're ready, return to that downward facing dog, heels releasing toward the mat. And on your next inhale, rising up onto the tippy toes, bend the knees, look between your hands, and exhale, step or hop. That can be one step or many steps coming to the front of your mat. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, folding in. Bend those knees, sweep those arms up and overhead, rising up to standing. Exhale, going right back down. Hinge from the hips and forward fold. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, folding in, planting those hands, stepping the right foot back, coming into a nice deep lunge. Drop that right knee down onto the mat. Inhale, sweep the arms up and overhead. Exhale, lowering the hands down to frame the front foot. Tuck the back toes, lift the back knee. Hips are high, lifting your left foot and stepping back, trying to avoid making the swoosh noise on your mat. Downward facing dog. Inhale, right leg to the sky. Bend into the knee, kick yourself in the butt, and open that knee to the ceiling, stretching through that right side body. Bring those hips back to neutral. Pull the knee into the chest, slow and controlled. Place the foot between your hands. If it doesn't make it all the way, give it a scooch. Left foot scoots back, dropping the knee down. Inhale, sweeping the arms up and overhead. Exhale, hands come down to frame the front foot. Tuck the back toes, lift the back knee. Push off the back foot and bring it to the front of the mat to meet the right. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, fold in. Bend those knees, sweep those arms up and overhead, rising up to standing. Exhale, hinge from the hips and forward fold. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, folding in, planting those hands, stepping the left foot back. Coming into your lunge, drop that knee. Inhale, sweep the arms up and overhead. Exhale, hands come down to frame the front foot, tuck the back toes, lift the back knee, hips are high, stepping back to your downward facing dog. Pausing here for a breath. Inhale, left leg to the sky. Bend into the knee. Open that hip to the ceiling, stretching through the left side body. Bringing the hips back to neutral, pull the knee into the chest. Slow and controlled, place that foot between your hands. Scoot the right foot back, drop that knee down. Inhale, arms rising up. Exhale, framing the front foot. Tuck your back toes, lift your back knee. Walk those hands forward, push off the back foot. Bring it to the front. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, folding in. Bend those knees deeply. Sweep the arms up and overhead, rising up to standing. And exhale, releasing your hands down beside you. Finding your way into mountain pose. Okay, take a minute, catch your breath, guys. I'm sorry if you can hear me panting. I'm doing an active class with a mic right by my face. So, sorry. You're just going to have to bear with me. Inhale, sweep those arms up and overhead. Exhale, hinge from the hips and forward fold. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, planting those hands, stepping to plank or jumping to a chaturanga. Lowering the hips and lifting the chest. Exhale, hips high, downward facing dog. Inhale your right leg to the sky. Take a moment and look for neutral. Toes are pointing down, hips are facing the floor. So this time we are not opening that side body. Instead, everything is facing the floor. Draw that knee into your chest, slow and controlled. Place the right foot between the hands. Left hand under left shoulder, right arm opens for a twist. Drop that hand, spin and drop the back foot. Belly button pulls in, rising up for our warrior two. Right foot is forward, front knee is directly over the front ankle, the back foot is flat and sideways, not parallel to the back of the mat. You want the toes, the knee, and the hip all pointing the same direction. Reaching out long through those arms. Looking out over the right middle finger. Your arms are active, so reach out as if you can touch the walls and then draw the shoulders back in. Making the arms strong. If we came around the room and tried to push, your arms won't move. Start to draw the heels toward each other without straightening that front leg. Left arm comes down. Right arm reaches up and over, finding length through your right side body, looking for a feeling instead of collapsing into the left rib cage. Imagine someone has grabbed your ribs, lifted you up, and then you just tip backwards slightly. Stretching the right side body, you can stay here, or perhaps take that left arm into the bind behind your back. Focus on your breath. If you have the bind, release that, bringing those arms back, parallel to the floor. Straighten that front leg. Scoot the back foot in just an inch or so. Stick your hip out, cocking that left hip out to the side, reaching the booty back. Take the arms and reach long, trying to touch the wall across from you, going as far as you possibly can. Lower that left hand against the inside. That's your right hand. Sorry, guys. Right hand against the inside of the right leg. Shoulders are stacked and open. Top hand can stay at the hip or perhaps reach up toward the sky. Maybe turn and look up towards those fingers. This is not about bringing your hand down to the floor. You want to find the place where you have alignment and your shoulders are open. You can always grab a block and place it under your right hand as well. Legs are both strong and active. Turn and look down at that front foot, bending into your front knee, drawing the core in, rise up to warrior two. Bring those hands down to frame the front foot. Spinning high on the back toes, hips are nice and high, stepping that right foot back into your downward facing dog. You can stay here in down dog, you can come to child's pose, or perhaps find a vinyasa. Shifting forward, shoulders over the wrists, holding the body in one straight line. Pushing forward into your chaturanga, lowering the hips, lifting the chest, upward facing dog. And exhale, hips nice and high, downward facing dog. Take a couple of breaths here, and I'll turn around. On your next inhale, left leg to the sky. Toes are pointing down, hips are neutral. Maybe your leg doesn't come as high, that's okay. Find that neutral. Draw the knee into the chest, shoulders over the wrists, and place the foot between your hands. Right hand under right shoulder, left arm opens for a twist. Shoulders are stacked right on top of each other. Bring that left hand back down. Spin and drop that back heel. Heels in line with each other. Front knee over the ankle. Belly draws in, rising up. Warrior two on this side. Reaching out long through those arms, looking out over the left middle finger. Take a look at your front knee. From the front angle, you want to make sure that the knee is directly over the ankle. You're not doing an Elvis and letting it come in or turning it and opening it to the outside. It is completely straight and stacked. Keep the front knee exactly where it is. Find the length through the rib cage. Right arm comes down, left arm reaches up and over. You can stay here or perhaps take that right arm into the bind. Start to drag the heels toward each other. Imagine you can squish your mat and lift it up, bunched up in the middle. It won't move, at least it shouldn't. Most mats won't move. If you're on carpet, I know that changes things. So hopefully your mat does not move, but you're trying really hard to squish it together. Bringing those arms back to warrior two. Holding for just a pause. Straighten the front leg. Scoot your back foot in just a little bit. Stick that right hip out, reaching out long through the left arm. And lower the left hand against the inside of the left leg, stacking the shoulders and opening the chest. Reach the right hand to the sky. Core is pulled in, body is strong, front leg is not locking out. You want to micro bend in that knee. Holding here for a few breaths. One more breath. Body is strong, you guys. Feel that strength. Look down at your front foot, bend into the front knee and cartwheel those arms up, warrior two. Bring the hands down to frame the front foot, spinning high on your back toes, lifting those hips, stepping back into your downward facing dog. Pausing here, coming to child's pose, or moving through a vinyasa of your choosing. If you would like to move through vinyasa and do not do a chaturanga, that's okay. Come into your plank, flip onto the tops of your feet, lower the hips. Exhale, hips nice and high. Downward facing dog. On your next inhale, right leg to the sky. Pull the knee into the chest, shoulders over the wrists, and with control, place the foot between your hands. Take a look at your feet. You want to be hip bone distance apart, so you're not on a tightrope. You have your long stance, yes, but the feet are also hip distance apart. Rise up onto the back foot like you're in a 5-inch heel, and then push through the back of the heel towards the wall behind you. Front knee is directly over the front ankle, core pulls in. And we rise up for a high lunge. Finding the engagement here. The back leg is active, feeling stretch into the left hip flexor. Keeping everything strong. If balance is a challenge, you can take your right foot an inch or so out to the right. And find something to look at that's not moving. Bring those arms parallel to the floor. Left arm stays forward, right arm sweeps back, finding an open twist, closed twist, kind of. Your core is working here. The obliques are working to twist your body. Holding still. Everything is active. Bringing those arms forward. Lower your hands down to frame the front foot. Walking everything around to the left. Turning your toes to face the long side of the mat. Inhale, rising up onto your fingertips. Exhale, folding in, hinging from those hips. Once again, you want to make sure that your legs are not locking out. We have a tendency in this pose to lock the knees. Sorry, catching my breath. Find that micro bend. Inhale onto the fingertips, exhale hinging from the hips. If you find that your arms are bending, walk those hands back so that the wrists are directly under the elbows. Looking for a hamstring stretch. It should feel good. Maybe you even come down onto the forearms. Maybe you bring your head down onto the mat. One more breath. Inhale, rising up onto those fingertips. Walking everything around to the right, framing out that front foot, turning your toes back to the front of your mat. Hips are high. Step your right foot back into your downward facing dog. You can stay here or move through a vinyasa. And meet back in downward facing dog. We're going to do the other side, and then we will take a break, grab some water. Inhale, left leg to the sky. Hips are facing the floor, toes are pointing down. Draw that knee into the chest. Slow and controlled, place the foot between your hands. Find that hip bone distance, feet at least hip width, front knee over the ankle, super high on the back toes, and then push through that back heel. This will make your thigh active and strong. Belly button pulls in, rising up, coming into our high lunge. Body is strong. So what you guys can't see right now is my daughter is trying to sneak in behind me and be a really sweet girl and bring me my water. So if you hear the little feet prints, that's what's happening. Bring those arms parallel to the floor. This time the right hand stays forward, the left side twists open. Using the abdominal muscles to find that twist, pushing through the back heel. Finding something to look at that isn't moving. Couple more breaths here. You are strong, you are fierce. Bringing those arms forward, lower them down to frame the front foot. Walking everything around to the right this time, turning the toes to face the long side of the mat. Inhale, rising up onto those fingertips. Exhale, hinge from the hips, letting the head come towards-ish the floor. So towards the floor does not mean to the floor. This would be a great time to grab blocks. Keeping your hands on the blocks and the back flat. All you're looking for is a hamstring stretch. Finding what feels good for you. If you can get kind of toward the floor, but it's just not quite approachable, bring your head to a block. If the elbows bend at all, walk those hands back, making sure that the wrists are directly under the elbows. One more breath here. Inhale. Rising up onto those fingertips. Walking everything around to the left, framing out that front foot. Hips are high. Step your left foot back into your downward facing dog. Moving through the vinyasa of your choosing. Perhaps coming forward into plank, shoulders over the wrists. Flipping onto the tops of the feet. Lowering the hips, lifting the chest up, dog. Exhale, hips high, downward facing dog. Once you reach down dog again, lower your knees, press back to a child's pose, or perhaps grab some water and maybe a towel. I'm going to do just that. Again, I'm sorry if I'm panting, you guys. Usually when I'm doing classes that move this much, I'm taking them, not teaching them. So talking and doing it at the same time is proving challenging. It's been a while since I've taught on Zoom, so just bear with me. I'm sorry I'm having a mechanical difficulty right now. Grab a drink. Take a break. I'm stuck. Oh, I got it. Okay. Sorry, my mic pack was giving me fits. A couple more breaths here, and we're going to get right back to it. If your blocks have been moved and are not at the front of your mat, take a moment and set them there. If you want a blanket, now's the time. We're going to have it under our knee in just a moment, so make sure that that's available as well. And then come back to your downward facing dog. Tuck your toes, lift your hips, pressing back. Inhale, right leg to the sky. Toes are pointing down, hips are neutral. Draw that right knee forward, place the foot between your hands. Grab your blanket. Scooting your left leg back. Drop the knee down to the mat. Make sure there is a blanket under your knee, and then untuck your back toes, grab your blocks. Rising up onto your blocks, sinking the hips toward the floor. The focus here is to take this right hip back, left hip forward. You have a stretch to the front of the left leg and into that hip flexor. But you want to make sure that you're not just opening to the side again. We're drawing everything in. Sink those hips a little lower. Maybe even start to lift into that left foot, kicking yourself in the butt, stretching the front of the left leg a little more. You can stay here, maybe rise up, bringing the elbow onto the thigh. Maybe even reach back with your left hand to grab that foot and draw it closer to the booty. One more breath here. Release your left foot, slow and controlled. Bring the hands down onto the blocks. Keeping the blocks in your hands, shift your hips back, straightening that front leg, lifting the toes. Just for a breath, we're just moving through this time. Bending into the front leg, sinking those hips. And shifting them back once again. Stopping this time. When your left hip is directly above the left knee, then scoot that right foot forward until you can take the leg straight. Still drawing your right hip back, left hip forward. Lifting up. How to determine your block height. You want a nice flat back position with your hands on fingertips. If you can bring your palms flat, lower the blocks. Just make sure you keep the back flat. And you can stay here or perhaps fold over that straight leg, increasing the stretch to the hamstring. Protecting your knee. Again, do not lock out or hyperextend that knee. Dig your heel into the mat and pull it towards you, giving yourself a little micro bend here. Pressing up onto those fingertips. Scoot that right foot back an inch or two. Bending into your front leg, set your blocks back at the front of the mat so they're going to be easy access, framing that front foot. Tuck the back toes, lift the back knee. Hips are as high as you can possibly get them, and step that right foot back. Coming into your downward facing dog. You can stay here, come to child's pose, or move through one of the last couple vinyasas. Finding that plank, maybe moving through chaturanga. Lowering the hips and lifting the chest. And exhale, hips high, downward facing dog. Inhale, left leg to the sky. Hips are neutral, toes are pointing down. Draw the knee into the chest and place the foot between your hands. Scooting your right foot back, take a moment, make sure that blanket will end up under your right knee. Lower it down onto the blanket and grab those blocks. Rising up onto the blocks, sinking your hips. Feeling that stretch in the front of the right leg. You can stay here, take the blocks a little higher. Maybe bring your elbow onto your thigh. Maybe lift that leg and kick yourself in the butt. Perhaps even reach back and grab the right foot with the right hand, drawing it in a little closer. With control, release that foot slowly, bringing your hands back down onto the blocks. Shift the hips back, straightening that left leg, drawing your toes towards you, just for a breath. Bending into the front leg, sinking the hips. Shifting back once again, stopping when your right hip is directly above the right knee. Scoot the left foot forward until you can take the leg straight and draw the toes back towards your face. Finding the position where your back is flat and you are on fingertips. And then if it's available, you can hinge from the hips and start to fold over that straight leg. On this side, you are drawing the left hip back and the right hip forward, trying for neutral. Couple more breaths here. Inhale, rising up onto those fingertips, drawing that left foot back a couple of inches, shifting the hips, bending into the front knee, set your blocks aside, frame the front foot. Tuck the back toes, lift the back knee, hips are high, and step back into down dog. Moving through the last of the vinyasas. And exhale, meeting in downward facing dog. Once you get to down dog, lower those knees down. Take a moment. Find your bolster. We are going to need our bolster for this next phase. So we've been working towards splits, Hanumanasana, but we're going to take it step by step so that you don't think I'm just trying to drop you into the splits right away. There's steps into this and places to stop so that you feel like you have control of it. Nobody's hamstrings go snap, crackle, or pop. And you can try to come maybe a smidge deeper than you did yesterday or last week. So make sure that the bolster is going to be towards the front of your mat. I'm going to actually place mine on this side so you can see a little better. Coming back into your downward facing dog. Inhale the right leg to the sky. Draw the knee into the chest to place your foot between your hands. Scoot that back leg way, way, way back and drop the knee back down onto the blanket. Grab the blocks, starting with them at their highest level. And now, in this lunge position, take your bolster, turn it on its side so it's tall, and place it directly against your shin. Calf. This is going to go under your knee. As we start to work into this, okay, I'm just going to be real here. You don't want to have it too far back because as you move forward, that's going to end up right in the middle of your crotch. So you want to make sure that that bolster is super close to your calf. And then start to walk those hands forward. Walk that foot forward. Bringing your hands onto the top of the bolster, and maybe you stay here. You are still drawing those knees toward each other, keeping everything active. You're not sinking into this. This is a working pose. If maybe you have a little bit more, turn the bolster so it's flat. Start to walk that hand a little, or that foot a little further forward, sinking those hips. Still drawing the right hip back and the left hip forward. Everything is active and working. Holding here, finding that engagement. If you still have a little bit more, you can slide the bolster out of the way and grab blocks. You want something under your hands so you don't just collapse into this. This is how we stay safe as we try and sink maybe a tiny bit deeper. And when you are done playing with this, draw that right foot back using your core, using your hip flexors. Place the foot between your hands, set all the props aside, frame that front foot, tuck the back toes, lift the back knee, and step back into your downward facing dog. Switching sides. Left leg comes high, draw the knee into the chest, place your foot between your hands. Scoot the right foot way, 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 way back. Drop the knee. Grab the bolster. Starting with the bolster on its side so it's a little taller, right up against that calf. Start to walk the left foot forward. Maybe you stay here. This is a lot of stretch. We often consider the hamstring on this, but we don't think about how much stretch is happening to the front of the back leg. Sometimes that's our stopping factor. It may not be the hamstrings, it might actually be the hip flexors. If you have a little more, draw the left foot in, turn the bolster flat, and start to slide it forward. Using your hands, drawing the heel and the knee, the back knee toward each other. And then if you still have a little bit more, you can set that bolster aside, grabbing your blocks for support, placing them under your hands as you start to walk that foot forward, drawing the right hip forward and the left hip back. Finding the split that works for you. One more breath here. Start to draw that left foot back, bending into the front knee, set your blocks aside, framing that front foot, tuck the back toes, lift the back hips, and step your left foot back, finding your way into downward facing dog. Pedal out those feet, let this part feel good, releasing that stretch, releasing those legs. And where are we at time-wise? Let me see here. We will do standing splits at the wall another day because we're about out of time. Lean back on those heels. Slide your blanket out of the way. Make sure you have your props available. We're going to get to Shavasana here in just a few minutes, but first, let's open the hips. I know that sounds counterintuitive, but everything's been kind of trying for neutral today. So we want something that's going to give us a little bit of a hip opener, a little glute stretch. Come down, lying flat on your back. Let me adjust my mic pack here. Knees are bent, feet are flat on the floor. Pause here and just take a break. Feeling that back settle and release toward the mat. Cross the right leg over the left and then slide that leg open, bringing the right ankle onto the left knee, making a figure 4 shape. Come up onto the left tippy toes. Check in. Make sure your right knee is happy, right hip is happy, and you should be getting stretch into the right glute. If this is enough, stay here. If you need more, come off the toes and draw your left knee in towards your chest, reaching through your knees and holding on behind the thigh or perhaps over the calf. Maybe even take your right elbow and press it against the right thigh, opening that knee a little more. Hamstrings are nice and open today, so you can extend that left leg straight if you'd like and hold on behind the calf or the ankle, drawing that leg in. Please don't let this become just a hamstring stretch. The focus is for the right glute, so only do this if you can keep the stretch in the booty. Feet are active, both feet. Slowly release your left leg, however you have it, bending into that knee. Take the left foot flat on the floor. Take the arms out wide at shoulder height. Slide those legs together. Now we're squeezing our thighs together. Shift your hips to the right. Let the knees fall to the left, finding your twist on this side. You can stay here, perhaps turn your head and look out over the right shoulder. Let this feel yummy. If this is not a happy place for you, try uncrossing the legs and stack the knees on top of each other and see if that feels better for your body. You're just looking for a nice twist. One more breath here. On your next inhale, start to bring those knees back to center. Uncross the legs. Shift the hips to neutral. Take a minute here and pause. And now we switch sides. Left leg crosses over the right, sliding it open, bringing the ankle to the knee, making your figure 4 first. Come onto the right tiptoes. Perhaps draw that right knee in a little closer, holding on behind the thigh or over the shin. Whatever is comfortable, maybe even taking that left elbow and pressing your left leg open. You can stay here. Maybe straightening that right leg, holding on behind the calf or the ankle. Feeling the stretch in the left glute. The booty, this should feel good. Slowly release your right leg, bending into the knee. Take the foot flat on the floor. Slide those legs together. Shift your hips to the left and drop the knees to the right, finding your twist on this side. Again, let this be yummy deliciousness. Maybe turn your head and look out over that left shoulder. Lengthening on the inhale, even in this lovely reclined twist. You lengthen with the inhale, getting a little taller, a little longer, and let the legs sink into the twist on the exhale. One more breath. Inhale, bring those knees back to center. Uncross the legs. Shift the hips to neutral and pause, letting your back sink toward the mat. Draw those knees into the chest, giving them a little squeeze, rolling side to side. If there's any other movement that you want, maybe a happy baby, go ahead and when you're ready, give those legs one last little squeeze. Start to make your way down into your Shavasana. Traditionally, this is flat on your back, legs extended, feet falling comfortably wide. But if this does not feel good for you, we have all those props. My favorite way to do this is to roll a blanket, slide it under my neck, take a bolster under my knees, and come this way. This feels good for me. Find anything that feels super comfy for your body, where your body can be calm and quiet and nothing is going to be screaming at you. I am going to keep track of time. You guys have nothing to do but lay here and be calm and quiet. So find that comfy position. Inhale, breathing in through your nose. Open your mouth, exhale, and sigh it out. A big audible sigh again. Big, huge inhale. Feeling that belly lift and expand. And exhale. The body sinks to the floor. Let the breath return to normal without control. The body is heavy, the mind is quiet as you enjoy the next few minutes in stillness. staying just as you are. Begin to take a deeper inhale. Using the breath to draw the body back into awareness. Becoming more present, sensing the room around you, feeling the mat beneath you. Start to wiggle the fingers, the toes, finding some gentle movement. Stretch long, reaching up overhead, stretching out through the fingers and the toes like you're just waking up in the morning. Feeling the body lengthen, the back lift and arch. When you're ready, draw your knees into your chest, giving them one last little squeeze and either rolling onto your back or rocking directly up. Come to a comfortable seated position. Bring your hands to heart center, thumbs against the sternum. Taking these last moments in stillness. We often see yoga depicted, especially on magazines, as being about the fancy poses. And while challenging classes are fun, handstands are fun, headstands are fun, that's not what it's about. It's not even about the splits. Yoga is about finding that connection to your body. It's about working the body, warming the muscles, heating the muscles to prepare the body for stillness. Yoga is about shavasana. That's the goal, to find that moment of peace, that moment of connection between the mind, the body, and the breath. It is my hope that you leave every yoga class, whether it's in studio, at home, through video, feeling stronger, more connected, perhaps a little more joyful than when you started. Thank you all so much for joining me. I bow to you. Namaste.